Hello, welcome to my page, Prime Solutions with Chris. So here on this page, what we do is basically provide you with the resources, verifiable and authentic information you will need to make that this ultimate decision of studying in Canada, immigrating to Canada, and life in Canada generally. We hope that this page can be as resourceful as possible to help you, like I said, make that decision. So let's write on and see what we have for today. Today we are going to be talking about how best to write your statement of purpose. Sometimes it's called personal statement. Sometimes it's called letter of motivation. But statement of purpose seems to be the most ideal phrase I would say to use, because in here we are not only going to capture your personal or your personality, we're also going to capture who you are professionally, because that is one thing statement of purpose does. So in the next few minutes, I would say we will talk about I will guide you on exactly how best to write your statement of purpose to position you for success when it comes to graduate application. And when I mean success with admission and most likely potential funding too. So while we talk about that, one thing I would say is this. I would like to correct some kind of misconceptions which I have repeated in many of my videos. There is this misconception that once you've made a good grade, once you have a good CGPA, once you have a good transcript, that is all that is needed to be successful with your graduate application. That is helpful, but I would say this. That is just one piece of a larger picture that committees that evaluate application for admission tend to look at when it comes to deciding on who gets the admission and on who gets funding. For example, once you have a good statement of purpose, maybe with a low grade in school, do not be afraid, if I may use that word that way. Focus on what happened afterwards. There are certain things you can change. You can't change the fact that you have your CGPA is not the best right now, but you've got other opportunities to show the evaluation committee of your application, and of course hundreds of other applications, that yes, while I might have started poorly, I am much more positioned right now to be the best among equals. So how do we go about this? Let me just start by saying this. When you're submitting a statement of purpose, know one thing. It doesn't matter if you have low grade in one or two courses, or maybe your overall CGPA is not that fantastic. Focus on how much you present yourself in your statement of purpose. Also, when it comes to, maybe there are many of you guys that have equivalent CGPAs or grades. What can determine who gets the admission or who does not get admission and funding is no longer the CGPA, is no longer the transcript, but other documents that the applicant submitted. In other words, you have to ask yourself, you have to work with the mindset or mentality that what I have now, my grade, there are so many thousands of my grades out there that might be applying for this particular admission, that might be sending in the application like I'm doing. So what I will focus on to make mine a little bit stronger when it comes to making decision on admission is making sure that my statement of purpose stand out. Stand out your statement of purpose. It should stand out before you know that yes, you are moving in that direction, that you are hoping to get that email with attachment of your admission letter, with attachment of scholarship or numerous funding opportunities that you have won just because you were able to present yourself in the most in the most convincing manner to the evaluation committee, depending on what they call them, application evaluation committee, whatever they call them. But I'm talking about a committee that evaluates applications for graduate studies that are sent from across the world in Canada. So now, we will talk about what do you want to do? The first question when it comes to writing your statement of purpose is this. You have to think about this in different stages. Before you begin, one of the things I need to state quickly is that most schools tend to really have this, particularly now, if you go to most schools, they tend to have, they don't really expect you to just go ahead and start writing your statement of purpose. Some of them will tell you, hey, we need 500, 1,000, 1,500 words on, of statement of purpose. Some other schools will have like a link that when you click, you will see some specific questions they expect you to answer, as that will eventually form your statement of purpose. What you do at this point in time, depending on how the school shows to have the information gets to them, if they have specific questions, copy the questions out. You don't have to type directly there. Copy the questions out and start writing and refining on your answers to the questions. If there are some schools that says, hey, we need 1,000 words or 1,500 words on why you want to just join the university, our university, and how our university can help you accomplish your dream or your purpose, then they were not specific. They didn't ask you any specific question, but they've told you an area that you are supposed to address in your own words, in your own understanding, based on your own experience. When reading, it can answer that same. It can reflect, the narrative can reflect the exact statement that was made as part of the requirement. So once you've been able to do that, like I always tell you guys, I tend to have some, I tend to have some narrative down that I have to look at every now and then while I'm discussing, so I know I'm keeping to track. Sometimes I repeat myself in the process, and that's because I'm trying to re-emphasize some points. Whenever I'm repeating myself, understand one thing, I'm trying to re-emphasize a point, because that point is necessary when it comes to how writing your statement of purpose, or depending on what I'm talking about. There's always a reason I like to re-emphasize a point. I am not scripted. I just speak from the mind, from experience, from research that I have done. So don't get so worked up when you hear me repeating one thing maybe 2 or 3 times. There's a reason for that. So the good thing about it is once you've gathered your information, once you've gathered how exactly the school wants your statement of purpose, the next question now is start preparing. Some people will just outline what they want, just do some quick sketch of the thought they have in their head. Some people, such thoughts, when it comes to the statement of purpose, doesn't come all at once. You can be driving, you have the thoughts. You probably just park and write that thought down. You can be at work and one thought will come, you write it down. You can just be doing so many things. You have the exact thought that really speaks to a specific subject matter or a specific narrative keep coming to your head, and you keep writing it down, outlining them. You are not yet writing your statement of purpose, but you are generating the ideas that will eventually help you to address every question that you are asked to answer in the statement of purpose, or that can help you write a convincing, very, very robust 1,500 words, depending on exactly what the school wants. So are you the type, the question is this, are you the type that maybe that wants to just have some draft in form of like pre-writing? Once the ideas keep coming, you keep writing them down. You keep, making sure that there's always a paper to write those ideas down, just to make sure that you don't just postpone to write them and it's kind of, it goes off. You don't get to remember that idea again. So there are people like that. There are also people that that tend to brainstorm, they kind of dedicate some time to think through what they want to do. They want to just brainstorm. Not it doesn't happen, or they don't create any time. They don't use all the time for that. They just create some specific time to just sit down, think, read, and begin to brainstorm on exactly how they want to present themselves. That is another way of doing it. But regardless of how you do it, remember, guys, I have some things I've written. I have written down here, which I don't refer to, but of course, by the time I look at it, I know exactly my thought process or my thought on that particular sentence I wrote down. So by the time you must have done your pre-writing or your outlining, whether you're brainstorming or whether you are just, the ideas keep bouncing every now and then and you keep writing them down, the most important thing is this: by the time you are ready to write your statement of purpose, have one thing in mind, that I'm going to address two specific areas that the committee will want to see me address. Even when the university seems to have presented you with the questions you're supposed to address, those questions, sometimes they are 4, sometimes they are 5, those questions address two specific areas. That is, one of them will address your professional, will want to understand or want to explore your professional life. The other side of that statement of purpose, we want to look at you more personally. Take out of your professional life. Let's get to meet you. Who are you really? What kind of personality do you have? Why must you be one of the best, or one person we would take in this hour to our program? It's really very important. And to be able to answer both questions, I would say this is actually important that you don't just look at every school and start writing, begin to write statement of purpose, and because you want to go to all schools. You can't go to all schools together all the time. You are just one person who will attend eventually one school here in Canada. So professionally, one of the things you have to ask yourself is, what kind of work are you interested in? And what kind of work are you interested in doing in the graduate school? In other words, the program is important. Another question that you can potentially see as an offshoot from that question is, does this program really align with my interest? In other words, you don't just apply to any school because you want to leave Nigeria or live in a country of your choice to Canada. You have to really be sure that the schools you have in mind have a very good interest or have the program you have in mind that can potentially help you to address those issues, questions, dreams, experience, and so many things you have in mind. In other words, choosing the school that have your interest at heart, or that seems to that have programs that align with your interest, is really very important. And while you're answering this question of what kind of work are you interested in the graduate school, you have to be sure that you are not just being everywhere. Be focused. Let the school know exactly what program are you interested in. Why are you interested in this program? Of course, we'll talk about that one later. That should have been the second point, but it's okay if I talk about it now. Get to know the school, get to understand the programs they have, and then move to the next one to answer the question, why is the program you are applying for a good fit? Why do you think this is the best program for you? Why do you think you can achieve that question? You can answer that question or achieve that purpose or be able to flourish in this field if you choose this particular program. It's very important we understand that, and this is one area that it don't just be everywhere. There's some people, when you're writing statement of purpose, they tend to talk about so many things, be so broad, as if you cannot really narrow your interest down. Every committee that is reading through the statement of purpose We want to see you narrow your interest down to specific question or to specific interest. They don't want to see you talking about so many areas that eventually it's not necessarily is so broad that it won't really make help you or help the committee to even decide to accept you into that program. So as much as possible, be very, very, very specific, and make sure as much as possible you also ask your question. You ask yourself this question: okay, now I'm very focused. This school have this program, and this is one area I love. This is one interest that I have that this program can help me, or the courses can help me to address. Once you answer that question, still under the same why question, another thing you should be thinking about is, okay, what other opportunities that can spring from this particular program or from this particular school? Do they have some call it some work experience attached to the program? If they do, maybe like what they call in this part in Saskatchewan where I live, what they call co-op. Do they have like that kind of work program that is attached to the program? If yes, talk about that also. You don't have to feel or limit yourself to be able to express exactly why that program is the best for you. It is not just about aligning with your interests, it's also about the fact that there are opportunities to even gain on-site experience that are organized or offered by the school while you are a student. So that is one area, of course, that attracts a lot of students, graduate students to Canada, because many schools, many programs here tend to have some work experience attached to the program even before you're done. And don't forget that by the time you are in this program or going through your work experience, you are networking, making new friends, getting not just that alone, but also getting to apply your knowledge to that area even before you're done with your schooling. So that seems to be one of the best or one of the good reasons that you want to be sure that you are applying for that program. Let the answer to your whys be strong enough to convince the committee that evaluates the applications that you are applying for this particular program because of this. Don't even go and tell them because it's close to where my friends live, or because the university is situated in a fantastic environment, or the university is such a blessing. I have my relatives there, I have my friends in that location. That is not why. Those are just afterthoughts. The committee doesn't need to hear that. Those are just afterthoughts. Focus on what matters most. Why is this program the best for you? How does it align with what your experience? How does it align with the courses you've taken in the past? And how do you hope to build upon your knowledge in this potential new program by the time you are admitted to the program? That is what matters. Those two questions have to be answered when it comes to your professional reasons of choosing a particular school in your statement of purpose. Another thing you will also talk about is your personal reason. Call it personal statement, or however you want to address it. Some schools might ask you, what matters to you and why? This is more personal. This is not a place you go and start talking about, oh, I have this fantastic 10 years work experience, I have this fantastic life work experience, this and that. Here, the university wants to know you. What matters to you as a human being? What events in life, particularly in school or through your job, that has triggered your interest for this particular program? That is what the university wants to know. They're not so much interested at this point now to know your professional life. They want to get to know you, what events in life has really impacted you or has really influenced your values as a human being that we can potentially begin to see in you by the time you join our program. That is very important. Another thing you will have to also, sometimes they want you to address is, of all the applicants to this program, what makes you the best? You have to, in this case, you don't have to, you as much as possible, this is where you tell them who you are, that you are the best. Don't sell short of yourself. Don't even feel I'm gonna be too, if I paint myself so good, they will think I'm just lying. Tell them exactly, be passionate about how you describe yourself. Be passionate about how you feel that if they are going to take just one candidate for this program, that you will be the one. Be passionate about it. The most important thing is that you don't have to, lie unnecessarily when there is no need to lie. But as much as you are passionately describing who you are to them, that makes a lot of difference. And that is what most schools will want to see. They know you professionally already by the first two paragraphs or the first two questions you answered, if they have the questions listed, but they don't even know you personally. So they want to know some things that have shaped your life experience. They want to know some things that have shaped your values. They want to know some things that potentially you are bringing to the school outside or aside your research, aside your academic strength, aside your professional experience, work experience, whatever you like to call it. They want to also know about your personality. This is part of this is, I would say, one thing that seems to differentiate statement of purpose from statement of research interest. They are totally, even when you talk about professional life, definitely there are some things that you talk about in your professional life that are not necessarily mentioned in statement of purpose, but you can actually pick some words or some phrases from your statement of research interest when you are talking about your professional life in your statement of purpose. But your personal statement in that same paper will definitely speak to you as a person, your lived experiences, your values, and how that has seems to shape who you are while progressing or coming to Canada for graduate studies. So I hope I've been able to, once you're able to apply these rules or this guide, once you're able to have this mentality of, okay, this is what these people are looking for, then you should be close to presenting a very strong statement of purpose that one and a committee member read your statement of purpose and read your research statement. For those that are applying, of course, for thesis-based or research-based graduate programs, they will begin to make the connection of who you are quickly, and that begins to even strengthen your chances of being successful with that application you made. I hope you'll be able to apply for this. You'll be able to apply this little support I'm providing here when you are thinking of coming to Canada for graduate studies, particularly as you are preparing the requirements for your application. And I wish you success in that regard. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section or email me. Definitely, I'll be happy to support you with more and more information as we go along. So, good luck. Bye.